So you left Harvard, you said in 2013, which is before the recent, changes with the Harvard law and then many other schools taking the GRE. So I take that you weren't involved in that decision.
So I was there when we started talking about the GRE. I was very preliminarily started to discuss what other ways we could look at a test for applicants. So I was there at the very beginning, but I wasn't there when it was actually implemented.
So what, if you could just share a little bit, what led to that decision initially? Because I mean, Harvard obviously isn't hard up for applications the way that some of the lower tier schools may be.
Yeah, well, so I think there definitely was a time. It's not that anyone's hard up for applications, but applications did drop, and that was seen at all levels. So it was noticeable at Harvard. I was there from 2001 to 2013, so there definitely were highs and lows during that point. So application volume is always an issue no matter where you are. But that wasn't necessarily the main motivator. I think that's always, who else can we get to attract? Do we have to have people take the LSAT? So a lot of joint degrees, and this is a motivation that I think a lot of other schools have, is that, there are plenty of really, really talented people who are applying to master's programs with a GRE, but don't necessarily have the LSAT and are interested in law school. So offering the GRE as an option for the standardized test gave those people a chance to apply to law school without having to go through the process of taking the LSAT. So it is a little bit more about giving access to people and making it more accessible to apply to law school. I think that was definitely part of the motivation, but always part of the motivation at any school is going to be looking at increasing applications. I mean, it's just part of what we do in admissions is how can we get more applications?
Sure. Now, what sorts of applicants would you say are a good fit to take the GRE only versus those taking the LSAT only? And when would you recommend someone taking both?
So I'll start with that last question. I wouldn't recommend somebody taking both only because the LSAT and the way that the rules are right now, the LSAT is king or queen, however you want to describe it. But it is the most familiar test to law school admissions professionals. They know it, they understand it, they know what to do with it. And it's very, very familiar to them. And if you have an LSAT score, that's what's going to be reported to the ABA. So that's the way that things stand right now. I think down the road, things may change, but anecdotally, what I've seen is that people who are really strong candidates, in my opinion, from what I've seen, are not getting the same love from law schools as they would if they had a similar percentile rank in an LSAT score. So, I think that the GRE is a good choice for people who either know that they don't want to take the LSAT, they either already have a really strong GRE score, or they think they'll do better on the GRE than the LSAT. But the bottom line is that law school admissions offices, law school admissions folks are just more familiar with the LSAT and what to do with it. And I think that will change over time as more and more people with GRE scores apply to law school, and more schools will accept the GRE. But at this stage, I think that the LSAT really is the one, and we're only a few years into it. So I think that's to be expected in some ways. But I wouldn't always encourage people to take the GRE over the LSAT, just because of the anecdotal results that I've seen with applicants this year and the previous year.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And of course, there is the mysterious black box of the U.S. News rankings, how they may consider GRE scores. Right.
Exactly. So GRE scores are reported to the ABA. U.S. News may change the way that they look at it, and schools just won't know that until it happens.
Right. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about your time at Harvard reviewing applications. I'm wondering, obviously, Harvard's one of the most highly selective schools there is. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that many of the applications you were evaluating were top quality. What were some of those edge cases where one little thing made the difference in terms of a yes or a no?
Yeah, it's a fair question. And I think one of the things that people have a hard time wrapping their head around and understanding is how ridiculously talented the applicant pool was or is at Harvard, and how much that didn't change from year to year. So as I mentioned that earlier, that the applications did ebb and flow here and there over the course of my time there. The quality never really fluctuated that much. So the number of applications changed, but the quality of applications really stayed quite high. And what I mean by that is that there are plenty of people with really strong numbers who apply to Harvard, but it really was the whole application that was looked at. I mean, I don't say that to be Pollyanna-ish about it and say that, the numbers don't matter, because of course they do. You're applying to an academic program, and the two biggest predictors of your academic success are your GPA and your LSAT score, now the GRE too, but mostly the GPA and the LSAT score. So of course the numbers matter. But there were always compelling cases. There were always people who Harvard could take a chance on because they had enough people to fill those gaps with those really high numbers.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.